I'm Ashwin Segkar, and you're listening to Help Me, I'm a Comedian, where we ask a comedian to share some pain from their life, an issue that you might be able to relate to, and then we walk through it with a therapist. I'm joined now by comedian Michael Connell and psychologist Dr Rachel Hannam from North Brisbane Psychologists. Hello to you both.
G'day, Ashwin. Thanks for having us on the show.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Michael. Let's start with this incident or this pain in your life. What is your story?
I don't have a really one big story. This is just what's constantly happening to me. So on Thursday night, me and my girlfriend were out having dinner. We had a lovely night. And then afterwards I was like, oh yeah, and tomorrow I'm going away for the weekend. Interstate, going to go perform some shows. And she's like, you never told me about that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. And she's like, no, you didn't. You said it's the weekend. I'm like, well, it's Friday, and Friday is the weekend. And then we had this massive discussion about whether Friday is part of the weekend or not. We're constantly getting into these sort of situations where I'm like, oh, by the way, tomorrow I'm going away for 2 weeks. And she's like, what? Like, she can't keep track of where I'm going. Of course she can't, because I can barely keep track of where I'm going. Yeah, I'm always constantly feel like I'm splitting my time. I'm either with her and I think, oh man, I could be out working, making more money, or I'm out working and thinking, oh man, I could be at home, you know, I'm missing her. And yeah, I'm just split between two worlds, and it's a constant source of... She's wonderful. She's very understanding. She's very supportive of my job, and I love her very much, but it's tough.
Is this also about to come into more focus because you're about to have a baby together?
I am. We are about to have a baby. I don't know how that's going to affect this situation. It might... I'm optimistic, and I hope it's going to make it better, because she'll have the baby, she'll take time off work, I'm stepping back from work, she'll be home during the day, I'll be home I'm already at home during the day. We'll see a lot of each other during the day, and then I'll go out at night and perform. And I mean, that's kind of making me a neglectful father. You know, she will be dealing with the baby a little bit at night while I'm running around doing these comedy gigs.
You got to work.
But I got to work. That's the thing, right? Yeah, I don't know. It's always tough. Like, I'm either at home and I'm like, you know, I'm not making enough money, or I'm out and I'm like, you know, I'm neglecting my family.
But we're comedians. We're still not making enough money.
You're still not, well, that's a big part of it as well,
yeah.
You know?
You're like, oh, I went to work today and I made $25 and 2 free drinks.
Yeah, exactly. And I say to her, like, she's like, sometimes I go doing, like, free shows even, because I just need to test material. I've written new jokes. I need to find out if they're funny or not. I don't want to do them at a high-pressure, high-paying corporate gig. So I'll go out and I'll perform, you know, for a sandwich, if I'm lucky, at a bar for like 4 drunks.
You mentioned to Jen, our producer, a little earlier that you're quite sceptical of therapy, or you've had not so good experiences in the past.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm sceptical of therapy. I think therapy's lovely. I enjoy doing this because I'm narcissistic enough to enjoy talking about myself for hours on end.
That's pretty much everybody.
But, like, sometimes in the past, I've gone to a couple of therapy sort of things, and I've gone to the therapist, look, I think this, and if I tell you that, you're going to tell me I should do this, and then I'm going to say that. Like, I'm always predicting what he's going to say, and he's like, yep, pretty much. I spend the entire session just telling him what I think, and then saying, but you'd probably think this. And he's like, yep, that's exactly what I think.
Do you mean in terms of advice that he had for you?
Yeah, exactly.
What you should do.
So, like, in this situation, we're at a point where I've had a bit of a crisis, you know, in my relationship, and had a big think about this. But there was a point where I went and saw a therapist and had a bit of a chat about this sort of issues. And he was like, look, you know, there's only 24 hours in a day. You got to think about, you know, after you've, you know, slept and showered and got dressed, you've only got, you know,
Was he trying to talk about priorities?
Priorities,
making priorities.
Yeah, he says you got your career and you got your family, and you have to make a choice, and you have to decide which one's going to come
number
first.
One priority.
You got to have a number one priority. And I said, yeah, I knew you were going to tell me that. Like, I could have told you that before I came to the therapy. He's like, yeah, but it's nice to say it out loud and get confirmation that what you think is right. Confirmation
and reminders. That's what I often say to my clients, because, it isn't rocket science, mostly. And people say, it's funny hearing you say it. I knew that already. Yeah, of course you knew that already. We all need constant reminders, I think, about how to live life, because it's not easy.
That's true.
And we get very confused and stuck in our own, with our tunnel vision, and talking it through and having someone tell you what you already know can sometimes be exactly what you need in that moment, sometimes.
Yeah. But I'm paying him, $50 an hour, and I'm like, I wish I had someone cheaper to tell me what I already know.
There's a danger in comedy that you just hang out with other comedians. Has that happened to you?
Definitely. That's what I found useful in therapy, was that I could talk to someone who wasn't my mum, or wasn't a comedian, because those are pretty much the only people I talk to, right? My partner Phoebe, she's a bit concerned. She's like, you don't have any friends? You don't ever hang out with people who aren't comedians, people you aren't working with? And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Do you consider the other comedians to be friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
so you do have friends?
So. Well, I don't know. We're not like best friends. I don't hang out with them outside of comedy.
Have you ever had a best friend, Michael?
I think I have. I think in high school I had some very good friends, and I would say I had a best friend. But then, like, after high school, like, you have to be a friend to have friends.
Maintain a friendship.
Yeah, and I'm terrible with that. Again, this comes back to the performing. I they'd be like, hey, I'm having a party on Friday. I'm like, I'm working. I'm working 5 nights this week, and then they just don't see you. And then they stop calling after a while, and then you're like, And Phoebe's like, you don't have any friends. I'm like, I got you. You're my friend. Like, I don't need other friends. And I'm friendly with I'm sure some of the comedians are listening to this going, oh, I thought we were best friends. Yeah, I do like you guys.
Don't name names.
Yeah, you're lovely, right?
We karaoke together, Michael.
Yeah, we did karaoke together.
This is a really common phenomenon for men, though, according to the research, is that they get in a long-term relationship. They rely on their female partner to meet a lot of their needs for intimacy, connection, companionship, and they lose track of the male friends, or the friends from previous times in their life. And that's sort of what you've done. Is it
a problem if I'm not worried about it?
If you're not worried about it?
No. Like, Phoebe's worried about it, but I'm not. I read the statistics as well, and I hear that men die earlier and they don't have any friends.
Don't cope as well with breakups.
Exactly. Loneliness is a problem and that sort of thing. But I'm quite an introvert. I know as a performer it's kind of weird, but I like performing on stage because it's a very controlled social interaction. Like, I'm talking at people in the audience, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done, good night, and then I leave. I don't like crowd. It drains me hanging around with people.
Because when you're performing, there's not as much sense of, can I call it, mutuality. There's not as much sense of back and forth, reciprocity.
Yeah. I've decided exactly how much I'm going to give these people.
Yeah.
I give it to them, and then I'm done. We moved to this new house, and it's got a lawn, right? Which I never thought about. Right? I thought, yeah, it's nice. This is grass, whatever. It grows. And she's like, you got to mow the lawn. And I'm like, all right, I'll do that. I don't think it was like twice a year. It's like once a week. It's like all the time. There's dandelion. I don't mind dandelion. I don't care. And she's like, what if the grass gets too long? What if the neighbours don't like it? And I'm like, well, they can stop looking at my lawn, I guess, is my solution.
What are you feeding that lawn?
But it's not an option, because then they call up the council, and then you get you get breached for your rent. And then it causes all these other problems. Like, there's like this, once you are middle class, it's like this conformity thing that you have to It's not just so much like, oh, you want to fit in. It's like, you have to. There's rules for stepping out of line. Yeah. I love her. I'm not going to leave her. It's all the annoyance that I feel about living in suburbia is totally worth it. The last 10 years, I've just been straight up stand-up. Before that, in my teens, I juggled a lot. And now I'm sort of combining the two and thinking maybe I could get into, like, cruise ship work, which is, again, taking me away from the family, but it's shorter, more concentrated bursts. I'm basically becoming like the arts world version of FIFO, going away for, like, 3 or 4 days every month rather than, like, 4 nights a week, that sort of thing. Maybe if that goes really well, I can convince her to come live on cruise ships and that sort of stuff. But who knows,
3 or 4 days a month would be okay. A lot of FIFO workers I've worked with do week on, week off sort of stuff.
That sort of stuff, yeah.
That gets hard.
Rachel, is there any particular challenges that couples go through when they have these unconventional careers?
Well, it sounds like Michael's a really good example of the kind of challenges. There's the anxiety around financial security, the different hours that you're working.
I feel sorry for her. I feel bad when I go out and, like, she's like, oh, you're gone again. And I'm like, yes. I perform. Sometimes it gets me really angry. I'm like, I perform at night. I'm a comedian. It's nighttime. There's comedy shows at night.
What if you said to her...
It's not my fault that it's nighttime when people want to come out and see comedy. If I could make it daytime, I would. But
is that what you say to her?
No, I don't.
Like that with the hands in the air?
With the whole hand. I can't.
Or do you say, honey, it sounds like you're going to miss me. You're going to feel a bit lonely. I understand.
Yeah, I do.
You say that?
I try to be, I know, I'm sorry, baby, I'm sorry, but... Because I do feel that as well. There's two parts of me. Part of me gets very annoyed, and then part of me feels very sad. And I feel first I feel angry, and then I feel sad that I feel angry, and then I feel angry that I'm feeling sad. You know what I mean? It goes around and around. Ugh.
Well, they often go together, anger and sadness.
Yeah.
Anger being the active one, sadness being the more passive sort of feeling. And if you can talk about the sadness, that's the key in relationships, I find, because the sadness is the most connected emotion to the underlying values. Like we don't feel sad about stuff that we don't care about. So our sadness tells us that we care about something, that we have an unmet need or a frustrated value. And if you can talk about what that is, then at least you can connect on that level and you can still, do the things you need to do. Because connection exists inside of us. So I can be away from my partner for days but still feel very connected, or he could be right next to me and I can feel quite disconnected. So you kind of can see that connection is an internal sense. And when we connect at that level of what are my needs, what are your needs, why is this important to you? Yes, it's important to me as well. That's a different level of connection. And so I often say to couples, talking about the sadness rather than the anger is the key.
Can you give us some tips? You've kind of touched on already on how we mine our sadness more deeply.
Oh, I like that word. How we mine our sadness. Well, we have to first sit in it and stay in it, because and so we can listen to it. And if we can listen to our sadness, it's telling us something. We could just ask ourselves the question, why am I sad? What matters to me here? What is important to me that I would feel sad about? The answer will come, and in her case, she likes to spend nights with you.
Yeah.
That's just something she really enjoys and maybe feels a bit lonely when you're not there.
Yeah. I like spending nights with her too. I love her so much. And I feel very sad because she's sad and she sits at home alone.
Do you tell her that? Do you say, I feel sad, knowing you're sad?
Yeah. I think I do.
Feeling the sadness, getting out of your head a little bit, because it's very easy to analyse a situation and overthink it rather than just feel that sadness.
Sometimes I feel like this is all I talk about, and I keep apologizing. I feel sad, and I've told her I feel sad, and I apologise, and I'm like, I'm sorry that this is the way things are, and I don't really have good answers. And I'm doing things like diversifying, and I take every Saturday off, like I don't work on Saturdays. all this sort of stuff.
You've got to mine a bit deeper, to use Ashwin's words.
Okay.
You've got to dig that mine a bit deeper, because under the sorry, under the sadness, there's some need, right? Is it connection? Is it fun? Is it quality time together? You know, like you want to find out what is the core need that she's got. I can give you a needs list. That really helps to have all the needs written out on a list. And to kind of, because once you know what her underlying needs are, that she's really looking for, the thing that's most important to her, that is the reason she's sad, then, you know, you can get creative. You can get creative. Like, how do you meet the need for fun? There's probably 25 things you could do. How do you meet the need for connection and intimacy? Yeah, there's more than one way to meet our needs.
So when couples find, say, a need for intimacy, what's an example of how they would do that if Michael does have to be out at night a lot? What's another way to bring that intimacy in?
You get time together during the day?
We've tried to block out every Saturday.
Okay.
And say, like, I perform Saturday nights, but say Saturday during the day, I won't take any work, I won't do anything.
And do you go and do things that are fun? Or do you hang out at home?
Our aim is always to go, okay, Saturday is fun day, we go out and do something fun as a couple. But often she's so busy and I'm so busy, it gets to Saturday and we're like, we haven't done the washing, we haven't mowed the lawn, we haven't bought groceries, so we madly run around on Saturday and do all the chores. And then it's about, 5:30 at night and we're like, okay, let's go to bed. Okay, good, yeah.
You're exhausted.
We're exhausted, yeah.
Yeah. Quantity time is important, but there's a lot to be said for quality time. And it's a good question. One of the activities I get my couples to do when they come see me, and you can Google this, love map questions. John Gottman, the author. I've got the pack of cards, and I'll give 5 or 6 cards to each, person. And they have things like, what is my partner's favourite tree? Or who is my partner's favourite relative? Or what is one happy memory from my partner's childhood? It's like a test to see how much you know about each other. And it's kind of fun because either your partner knows you that well that, she or he knows the answer, or you get to tell the answer. So it's sort of a friendship building, emotional intimacy building exercise. It's something that couples sort of stop doing at some point. We kind of do that thing in the first 12 months of getting to know each other and asking lots of questions and being interested in each other. And at some point, most couples stop doing that. And I like to remind couples that they can never stop getting to know each other. There's always more to learn about one another. And that only takes half an hour, even if you're exhausted on the couch.
I've no idea what her favourite tree is.
You better go home and ask her.
I'm a terrible partner.
What's your favourite tree?
Oak.
Yeah, good solid.
Yeah, good solid
old tree.
It has acorns, they're always fun.
Doesn't move anywhere, just stays home a lot. Psychologist Dr Rachel Hannam and comedian Michael Connell, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Ashwin.
Thanks, Ashwin.